Cast. And again, we are in joyous mood because the final score at Ashton Gate in front of 24,500 fans, it finished City 3, Southampton 1. Who'd have expected that? But was that sort of result coming? We're going to discuss the game and how things are shaping up under Liam Manning. I'm delighted to be joined today by Tom and regulars Mark and Ian. As I do with all of you, your thoughts walking away from Ashton Gate. You first, Ian.
My thoughts were, wow, I'd have settled for that at kick-off time tonight. I'd have settled for it 2 weeks ago, and the 2 wins back-to-back are the key thing. What we've got to do now is not do the Bristol City thing that we've done for decades. So I'm not blaming Nigel Pearson, Liam Manning, Steve Cottrell, or any other manager we've had. We've done it for decades and do well against the better team and then make a mons of it when we've got so-called lesser teams or lower teams by league position coming up. So let's go into the game on Saturday. I think it'll be a different game. You've got QPR, I don't think are going to come down and play like Southampton did or even try to. I think they're going to go into a lower medium block. We'll have more of the ball. And at that point, we do need to do something more with it. But I was absolutely delighted with not only the result, but the performance over 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's what we've been crying out for, performance. Mark, you're going to say your piece, but you're going to stay statistically, aren't you? Yes, so over to you, Mark.
Yeah, this was an absolutely stunning result for City. What you've got to remember is Southampton had got 10 points from their first 8 games. So this 22-match unbeaten run, they generated 54 points at an average of 2.45 per game, which is ridiculous, with 48 goals scored and just 16 conceded. So this was an absolutely monumental result from City. We said in the last podcast that there'll be space, but City had to execute a game plan with their players that were totally committed, press when needed, go forward and be clinical. Didn't happen in the first half, but boy, did we take our chances in the second half. The best win under Liam Manning. He's taken the players under Pearson and improved them, in my opinion. We're looking at the table, but QPR will present different challenges. Every game's different. You won't have the space, and City will have to work on another game plan to break them down. But outstanding, and as Tom Oakgood would say, a coupon buster of a result.
All right, Tom, what were your thoughts? I mean, we've been crying out for a performance for a long while. Manning's now got 3 or more goals 4 times in his tenure. I don't know whether Nigel managed that in 2.5 years, but what were your thoughts walking away from the ground last night?
Extremely proud. I thought that was a really inspired performance from us. I thought we looked well up for it, and I thought that showed in the result in the end. I thought Southampton weren't at their best, particularly a bit hungover from their weekend result. And I'm sure we'll get into that and reasons why, but I was extremely proud. And I think it shows the power of 4 at the back for us and how it works. Because in a 4 at the back shape, we'd scored 5 goals in 2 games compared to, and we were crying out for goals before. So does that show a lack of ability in the players to score goals? Maybe not. Was it a lack of the ability in the position we were playing for 5 at the back to score goals? Potentially. And I was delighted to see that we kept 4 at the back the whole game. But yeah, I was extremely proud of everyone that came on. All the subs made an impact, which is really sort of unheard of sometimes, maybe 1 or 2, but everyone that came on was at it. And I was, delighted walking away from that.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I was still buzzing when I woke up this morning, actually, because, for once, and, all of us here, well, me and in particular, done
it's
50
not just
plus years.
Valentine's Day then, David. It's pretty win as well.
We've done 50 plus years, and it's the thing about City that rarely do they live up to expectation, but last night they exceeded expectations. Absolutely, no doubt about that at all. Ian, the starting lineup, was it predictable? Cam went off injured late on. There was talk of some of the injured players featuring. Sykes was on the bench, and obviously we've suffered the loss now of Atkinson, hamstring after 21 minutes in yesterday's reserve game. But, did you think, James and Williams midfield 2, not a great deal of mobility? Although it's a 20-man squad now, isn't it, really, on match day? So what were your thoughts in the team?
Yeah, I was quite surprised that Taylor Gardner-Hickman didn't start because I think he gives us that bit more mobility. But what I noticed is when he came on and played more or less the night role, when he came on, he's very good in that position as well.
Yeah,
So that gives us some versatility there. When you've got Twine back, who can also different type of player, but can also play as a 10, and that's his favourite position. Um, then that gives us squad depth, which is something that we just haven't had all season. Normally, I think the way Southampton play suited us last night. Let's be honest, because we could have less of the ball, and we're normally, for years, we've been better when we've had less of the ball, and it's a strange thing. We had even less of the ball at Middlesbrough, and that performance last night was far better than the Middlesbrough performance. Um, but I was a little bit surprised. Obviously, we thought Cam was going to make it. I think if it was one of those, if it had been the FA Cup final last night, he may well have got in the squad or even in the team. But my understanding is that if he doesn't play Saturday, he'll be available the Saturday afterwards. But I thought Roberts did well. And just a quick mention for George Tanner, who played in his uh, third position he's played this season. So we've seen him at right centre back, right back, and we saw him at left back last night when he switched over.
For the
So
last
and he's the thing about George is what I've always said. He's an accomplished defender, and just by virtue of the fact that people talk about his attacking capabilities, he put over one of two good crosses in the first half, and they were interestingly they were both put over by fullbacks. Roberts put one over,
yeah.
and George Tanner put the other one over. So I mean, I wasn't. It wasn't. Oh wow, look what we've done. But it was. Oh no, Cam's not playing, and I thought Williams and James would slow the tempo down in midfield. Now on Saturday, if they start, they well might, because QPR won't be playing like Southampton did. So that I think that's a very interesting dynamic that Liam Manning's going to have to think about when he picks the team.
Yeah. Mark. Williams in the middle. Surely they're going to give him a contract because he was inspirational last night, and he really seems to be enjoying his game. I looked at his celebration when the first goal went in with one of those behind the camera shots. But we're playing with an intensity. We almost play with the intensity that I thought Leeds displayed against us. Would you agree with that view?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the first half, they James and Williams. I mean, James was outstanding. He got player of the match last night from Sky, and his desire, especially when he Cornick had that shot blocked, and he came out of defence into attack, absolutely outstanding. But yeah, we need his aggression. He's proved his fitness, which has been a big question mark. I don't know if he can play the intensity of 3 games in a week, but yeah, he deserves it. I'm sure talks are ongoing about a new contract.
Yeah.
It's just getting him to agree a figure, because there will be other offers probably from
Well, that's what I'm
Championship
saying.
clubs for his services.
They're putting themselves in the shop window, aren't they?
Yeah,
James
I mean, I think with James as well. I mean, there are other circumstances. Are there family commitments in other parts of the country? It's not just as simple as signing a bit of paper.
No.
It's security of perhaps a 3-year contract with James. They may not offer him 3 because he's 32. We just don't know. But there are other factors. But yeah, I mean, take Joe in an instant. I think he's been reborn, isn't he? In the second from the third of the season onwards. Absolutely outstanding. But players can still improve. They got to look to improve. But like I said, I think in the first half it was the chances that Southampton had from his Dozy and Armstrong were where we gave the ball away in defence, not from midfield.
Yeah.
In the second half, we coped with their press better with Smallbone and Shea Charles, and Rothwell couldn't get into the game. He was so ineffective going forward, they had to take him off. So that was down to the midfield.
Yeah. Tom, Roberts came on. We haven't really seen him. He's almost had cameo roles, really. But if he could put in performances like that every week, losing Cam Pring, who is under contract, but if you look at players that are likely to go, Roberts showed that he can play that role quite effectively. And as Ian alluded to, Tanner switching across to left back for a quarter of an hour was it just showed what a good player he's become for that bargain sum of 300. But what were your thoughts on Roberts last night? I thought he had a storming first half.
I thought it was good. I think it would be easy to, like Ian said, go, there's no Cam Pring. That's going to be an issue because Cam Pring is so, you notice him so much due to his physical nature and his pace. He's such a noticeable player on the field. And I think Roberts quietly, not in the same presence Cam does, but quietly went around good business yesterday. I thought he put in a really good ball first half. I thought defensively he wasn't bad. I didn't, think that there was any bar his mistake in the first start of the second half where he did get away with one. Yeah, there's no getting away with that. He did get away with one, and it could have, I think, also potentially been a penalty where he shoves Brooks in the back. Though it's minimal contact, I think there's still contact there. But when you're coming into a team that is potentially so reliant on Pring, both offensively and defensively, I think he's got 4 assists this season. Cam Pring, he does offer a lot going down the left. I thought he added something again, Robert. So
I mean, if you have Pring and Roberts on that left-hand side, because but Roberts showed his defensive capability and going forward. But if you have the left side combination, it's pretty physical, isn't it? That would scare some teams, both of them, because they could interchange, couldn't they? Yeah,
I think it would be interesting to see, would you put Cam higher up, or would you, because Cam for me is a bit like our version of Kyle Walker with his recovery pace. The way that if teams do go direct, Cam has got this pace that we trust in behind to sweep up everything, unlike Dicky. And that's why I think Dicky's playing on the side with Pring, because Dicky, love him, but he's slow. Yeah, Dicky's acceleration is slow, and Pring does bail him out quite often. Yeah. But I thought Roberts was going back to the point was.
Ian, with Roberts and Pring, I think we talked about this early in the season, because we knew he was a signing and you expect signings to come into the side. Do you think that's a viable thing, playing them together? And who would you play in front? Or could it just alter through the game, just because they bring equal pace and defensive capability?
Yeah. Well, they can both defend. They can both attack. I'd play Roberts in front of Cam Pring, because I think Cam Pring is more effective making those barnstorming runs forward. But the thing is, they could alternate, and particularly I see that when you're trying to close a game out and you want to defend from the front. So you're a couple of goals up, there's 20 minutes left, it's coming on top. So you take somebody like Mehmeti or Sambel off, you bring Roberts on to play in front of Pring. And they could even start as what you might call a left wing combo. And where we are at the moment, I was looking at the squad last night and I was thinking, well, let's say you left Mehmeti and Bell out of the game against QPR and you brought in Mabuda and Sykes. It's not 100% weaker, is it? In fact, arguably,
you're going to say arguably it's stronger, aren't you? Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, arguably it's stronger but at least it shows you what squad depth is. And can I just give you a quick thing on substitutes, because they were very effective last night. But I was looking at the potential bench for Saturday, and when you look at this, is potentially available for QPR, bearing in mind that Rob Atkinson's injured, and if he has done his hamstring, as people are saying, then that'll be it for the season. So here's a list of players for the bench for Saturday, potentially: Badgett, McCrory, Pring, Naismith, Taylor, Gardner, Hickman, Sykes, Mabude, Twine, Cornick and Wells. All right? Anybody spot a bit of a problem with that?
No.
Well, there is a problem because there's 10 of them.
Right.
So it becomes a question of who misses out. And that's bearing in mind you're leaving Andy King and Jamie Knight-Labelle out of that. Now, that's assuming that they've all recovered, because when people say, well, you said somebody was coming back, Cal Naismith did 45 minutes. So the idea is that he goes on the bench on Saturday. Okay, if he's come, but he might go into training this morning and say, "Oh, well, I got a bit of a stiff one of these or a stiff one of those," and the physio might have a look and say to Liam Manning, "Well, hang on, just give it another week." Now
And
that
would
could
be
happen.
the sensible thing, and that would be the sensible thing to do. And talking of
that's
basing
that's what you can't definitively say. Or they might go out and do some training, and somebody might kick him. It happens. So you need to be. But I'm quite excited by the squad depth because it is a completely different situation from what we've had for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah,
there's been no squad depth.
Players have come back after injury, and we've made a few signings. And taking Naismith as a case in point, he would come onto the bench, in my view, in place of Knight LaBelle, because that's his defensive and midfield. That's the obvious one.
And, exactly.
It's funny, Mark, isn't it? How, as Ian's just said, you look at that bench and you look at the team, well, the bench last night, things have transformed, and there's going to be some people say, well, Nigel never had the fit players and he wasn't backed. Would he have been backed in the January window? But
we can't go back to that, Dave.
No, I know.
Sorry, mate, but I've got to say it's just tiresome when people start droning on about that. I can give you a list of the players.
I'm just saying.
I can give you a list of the players that Nigel Pearson had when he came to the club, and arguably he had a stronger squad than Liam Manning.
Yeah, arguably. Mark, go on. What are your thoughts on?
Let's enjoy what we got now. I think my one concern, I think everybody's concern, is in defence. Rob Atkinson played 45 minutes for the under-21s yesterday, and was taken off.
21 it was.
Sorry,
even 40, he didn't even make 45.
21 minutes.
How many minutes?
21
minutes and had a hamstring injury, so we're still in centre of defence. It's Dicky and Viner. There ain't anybody really to come in there unless.
Sorry, Mark. I think you're wrong. You say there's nobody to come in. Naismith can play in the centre.
Oh yeah, Naismith. But I didn't even. I suppose with thought of not even considering Naismith. He's the last 2 seasons he's missing 20 odd games. And he's his fitness is a liability.
Play in the centre. Sorry, Mark. Pring can play in the centre, and George.
With specialist centre backs, we've got 2 specialist centre backs in Viner and Dicky, and Atkinson when fit. Naismith is a utility player as a centre back, and so is Pring. But specialist centre backs, we've only got 2, and that's still a concern. There's strength all over the pitch in other areas, and people have mentioned in the chat, Mabude, made a. I said to the couple that sit next to me, "We'll bring Mabude on if we're 3-0 up." Not expecting that to happen, unless hell froze over, and then we scored the third. So nice little cameo role. But I think it's interesting what you say. I mean, he, like Mehmeti, is really not going to be there for his tackling abilities in terms of tracking back. It's just to track back and slow down, slow down the opposition's momentum, get in the passing lanes, try and prevent the ball going forward, because he's not going to clean out defenders in the tackle, is he? So. No. He's another option that you could play. So there is a chance to rotate players.
As Ian said, bringing Sykes.
If you've got Twine's there to unlock defences is that number 10, because majority of the home games you're going to get teams sitting deeper. They won't give you any space. So you need somebody who can play in that little pocket and play the ball through.
All right, let's get into the action a little bit. I mean, we've talked. I mean, the first half we went in 0-0. Poor crossing was a feature of our first half display, but we were more than a match for them. I think I tweeted out that they were, at the very least, as good as, if not better than Forest and West Ham, although Ian pointed out to me that West Ham did lose Bowen and a couple of other players in that match. But it was good first half. We went in 0-0. Start of the second half, we've sort of alluded to it a little bit. Roberts' only lapse put Dicky in trouble. Armstrong set up a dozy. He shot wide, and that was when, as Tom said, Brooks got pushed by Roberts in the back. You thought that if that had been VAR, would have been a review on VAR?
been a review. Whether they give it and they say the contact was enough, I'm not sure. But with VAR, anything can happen. It's so unpredictable. I think there's no real consistency with VAR. Is what it's supposed to bring consistency, and I'd argue there's more inconsistency with decisions than ever.
Yeah.
So
well, there was a 7-minute stoppage in one game at the weekend, wasn't there?
yeah, it's bizarre.
One thing. Bizarre. But I'll stick with you, Tom, on the goal. The first goal coming on 52 minutes. Anis has had his critics. Yeah, we've been critical of him, but a little one too with George, and set it up.
It wasn't.
It was small bone.
It wasn't a 1-2 with George,
wasn't it?
No.
Who was it with?
No, we got a throw in from George. Mehmeti took the ball. Sorry, Tom. He tried to pass it to George Tanner, but Smallbone stuck his foot out and played him onside.
Right.
Then he beat Manning and crossed.
All right.
It was Smallbone's touch that played him in.
Well, I'm going to say it was a 1-2. Yeah, I mean, that's splitting hairs. But good for Sam Bell's confidence, Tom, that he put it over the line.
That is exactly the goal Sam Bell needed, for something just to hit him and go in. Because after Forest, I mean, how mentally tough that must be for him. And we've all been critical. And he, out of everyone, he's changed positions, 3 times already under Manning. It seems that he's we've stuck with him like Man did with Conway when Conway was going through a tough period. We've stuck with Bell, and it paid off there, I think. But he just needed that for his confidence, and I'm sure Gunns Cornick as well. But I thought brilliant from Mehmeti. Doesn't do it enough.
No,
doesn't do it anywhere near enough. He's got 1 goal, 2 assists in his year with us now, which still isn't. It's O'Dowda output, and we all were really critical of O'Dowda, but it's fantastic pass across. It is really good, and it shows that he can do it.
Well, it shows that he can do it, and it was, 2 of the goals came from crosses, and we go into the detail of each of them, but it just shows that when you get the crossing right.
Do you know what that goal was? That was sorry to go back to it, it's a Pearson goal, cutting it back from the byline. But that is what we're good at. And to the point Ian made earlier about, Pearson and whatnot, everyone that started yesterday was signed by Pearson. There was only one player on the bench who was signed by, to my knowledge, Manning, and that was Mabude. That was a Pearson squad, and that was a real Pearson goals. But that's what works with this squad. And I think that Manning is slowly coming to, 4 at the back, with this squad is the way forward. Yeah. And we created so much more. We had, I think it's like 14 shots yesterday.
Yeah, 14 shots, 4 on target. And obviously they were Flair team as well, 16 and 4. So no, it's good that you make that. It's good that you make that point, that it is, everybody's back and fit. Ian, Max yesterday, just after the first goal, Armstrong set up Carl Walker Peters. He did a good save, did Max. Didn't have a great deal to do. What he dealt with. The kicking was poor though, and people sat next to me were groaning a couple of times. And their goalkeeper, I can't remember his name now, but he was almost like an extra defender at times in the first half, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was playing 10 to 15 yards outside his penalty area, which is something you can do when you play that style. But sometimes it's going to go horribly wrong. And yesterday, one of the things we were effective at was stopping them playing. So we didn't give them hours to knock the ball around at the back, because anybody can look world class when you've got that kind of time. But it's when you get in people's faces. And that's exactly what Leeds did to us. We tried to play out against Leeds, and they were all over us like a bad rash. And they were probably half a yard to a yard quicker to a man. So that we showed yesterday just what we can do with those players. And I think, I've been banging on about this injury situation all season, and I'll continue to, because squad depth in this division is a determining factor in how well you do. When you look at a bench, and the names I've just quoted could be on the bench on Saturday. You think, blimey, there's 5 or 6 players on there that could really change a game. They could score a goal. They could get an assist. They could make a match-winning pass. It makes a huge difference, particularly as we've said, when sides come in and sit in, because I don't think I can't remember that many times over the last few years where we've beaten teams in the top 6. And certainly teams in and around the top 6. But with Manning, his victories this season have come against Southampton. What were they, second before we kicked off last night? And then you've got Hull. At the time we beat them, they were 6th. Borough were 6th. Watford were
top half of the team. Sunderland. Top 8.
Watford were 7th.
Sunderland were 6th.
So yeah, so we're doing well against the sides that want more of the ball than we do, and that's not a coincidence. So if we can learn, and perhaps Twine's the key to unlocking those defenses, because if a side sets up like that and then you score a couple of quick goals, it's game over for them, because they've got to completely change. Absolutely. And they've got to come out. But that's the bit we haven't done. So once I see us do that, bearing in mind we're under Manning, we play differently with the ball than we do without it. And a lot of modern coaches are doing that. I mean, Jamie Carragher did a piece about, is it Bayer Leverkusen? They're top of the German league.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the lad there, they're talking about being the next Liverpool manager when Klopp goes.
Xabi Alonso. All right, Ian,
Xabi Alonso.
Just make one more ask me one more question.
Well, Mark, because I know you've got to leave us, Mark, because you've got a work.
Yeah, if you just want to ask me one more question, that'd be great.
I was going to say, do you want to? I'm going to come to you for the second goal. Actually, Rob Dicky, signing of the season, as prolific in front of goal, almost as Aidan Flint was in terms of creating havoc in the box. Your thoughts on that and Rob Dicky?
Well, another corner taker in Joe Williams, and it was a great ball. He swung it in, and it had some whip on it, although it was quite high. But it just goes to the back post, and Rob Dicky gets above Smallbone and heads it over the keeper into the net. I think Joe Rothwell tries to stop it going in, and he can't stop it going in. But it's a great goal. Yeah, Aidan Flint from Rob Dicky, and that's his 4th goal of the season, and long may it continue. Absolutely fantastic.
I have to say, I think Mark's having a new kitchen installed, because he seems to be trying to mention Smallbone. He gave Smallbone the benefit of the 1-2 leading up to the goal that Sam Bell. And he's just talking about Smallbone again. You're not having a new kitchen, Mark, are you? Smallbone of Devices? No, they're not our sponsor.
It sounds like I thought Smallbone sounded like a country solicitor, doesn't it?
Smallbone. It's a posh kitchen.
Oh wow, I'm sorry.
I couldn't afford a Smallbone.
I don't live in those circles. I don't live in those mixed with those social circles.
We'll say goodbye to Mark. All right. Thank you. Goodbye, and we'll have a pause.
Hi, Mark.
And we'll have a pause for these. Okay, Mark's left us. Back in the room, me, Tom, and Ian. That little pause for these was the ads, in case you wondered. And if I get them in the right place when I put them in. But there we go. Ian, I'll stick with you for that second goal. We want to be seeing our centre halves sort of getting in those positions, and even if that player on the line, Cornick, was on hand, if it had gone anywhere near him. But Rob, they all seem to be enjoying their game at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? They get plenty of the ball. If you look at the most touches stats, if you look at the most touches stats in most games, it's our central defenders, because we're playing out from the back, trying to. The players seem comfortable with doing it. It's not like we're trying to force people to play in that way. And when you get a game like you did last night, backed up by that away victory at Borough, which was a bit like Rorke's Drift in the second half at times, but we defended really well. So we've got defenders that can play out. They can also defend. By that I mean head it, tackle, and all the rest of it. Because I think strikes me when I watch Premier League games is a lot of the modern defenders aren't great at defending. They're really brilliant at coming the other way, but as soon as they've got to get an important tackle in or make a header, or it's a 50-50, they're not so great.
Yeah.
I think all the ones that we've got relish that kind of contact, and then we transition quickly through the midfield, which, like I said, I didn't think was likely with James and Williams at the base of it. So that came as a surprise to me. So, but a really pleasant surprise. So let's see who's fit for Saturday.
Yeah.
And then Liam Manning's got some interesting decisions to make, haven't he?
And they're the decisions you want to have to make. I mean, it was interesting on Radio Bristol. I listened to Sound of the City on Monday, and then they played that piece. Manning is one of these new coaches that likes to do the preparation, doesn't he? And the players, even the players, talked about the game plan. I mean, when you play at a decent level, I mean, at your level, do you have a game plan? Do you think we have a game plan under Manning that perhaps we didn't have to the same intensity? That's a word that somebody's used here on the text feed, that we had under Nigel. Nigel wasn't on the training field like Liam clearly is. But what do you think of this preparation? It's starting to pay dividends and the players are buying into it.
Yeah. I think I play up at SGS for the team up there. So we've had quite a few pros come through. Semenyo probably the highest name. We do all the video prep there. So on Fridays, we'll go in, we'll have a video prep session where we look at our training, look at patterns of play, looking at how we can break down other teams, what's effective, what's not. And although it's only a 2-hour session, the knowledge you can get out of that is you can gain a lot of knowledge, especially about how you want to play in possession. I think we certainly look more effective at times due to the preparation. I think we highlight weaknesses within their team better than we did. I think yesterday we controlled the game in 70 minutes, I'd say. And is that down to preparation 100%? The thing with Manning is he is so data-driven. You do wonder at times whether it's a bit over the top. You look at the training pitch, and that's all changed now. We've got pitch markings like arrows leading towards the goals, and it's yeah. Up at the HBC, if you look at the training pitch up at the HBC, there's arrows all over the place because Manning, he sees something in his head and he wants to apply it out in front of him.
So he gets arrows painted on the pitch.
Yeah, there's arrows painted on the pitch.
So he's not using drones like Lee Johnson used to. Then.
No. But if you look at it, it's all these different markings on different pitches and things like that. It's really
like grids, Tom, isn't it?
Yeah, grids, and so on one pitch there's grids and one pitch there's arrows and things like that, and it's down to patterns of play, style of play, and sort of offensively and defensively, sort of the zones you want to attack and how we attack them. And I think that's why he does it. But he's a complete control freak, I think, Manning. He is a control freak.
In a positive way.
But it's a positive way because I think he likes the feeling of control, and it paid off last night.
And if you look at the players, Ian, I mean, it's interesting that Yeboah has gone right out of the picture and there've been murmurings about attitude. But if you look at all those players, just look at the starting 11 because too many, but they all seem decent blokes, don't they? There's no narky players in there, truculent. Even Joe Williams looks excited to be being part of it. And saying about people that aren't, or maybe getting a bit frustrated, what did you think of Tommy last night? He was on for all bar the last 15 minutes. People were complaining about when he came on as sub against Borough, he was pointing and he's not had great service, but is Tommy in your starting 11 when everybody's fit?
Yeah. I mean, purely on ability, I think he's a better player than Naki. I mean, he should be because he's over 10 years younger. I think the issue with the contract will eventually get to him. I mean, I've said to you, I don't know if I said it on the pod or I said it off air, Dave, but I will say it. We could be without all three of our central strikers for different reasons in August when we start the next season, because Naki's coming to the end of his career. Nothing against him, but he is. He's lost a little bit of pace, which was always a thing that helped him. He's still got the aggression. He's still got the talent. He links play better than Tommy. But it's that physicality thing again. Tommy, I don't think, I've been told the best figure is 70% likelihood to sign a contract. The same for Joe Williams. So, 7 out of 10, is that great odds? I suppose it's better than if you said 5 out of 10. But there are talks ongoing. But I think a decision will be made if he's not going to sign a new contract. The club virtually have to sell him. Now, that doesn't mean to say they have to sell him if somebody comes in and makes a dafty offer. but it does mean that eventually they'll have to sell him, and it'll be Nicky Maynard situation all over again, where do you want to sell him for 6 or 8 million now, or do you want to sell him for 2 million quid
in January?
In the January. So, and Harry Cornick, great to see him get a goal last night. The last 2 games he has been better. Let's hope that continues. But in another way, if you're filling the side up with players that we think we want to go for a championship promotion run, would you necessarily have Harry Cornick in there? So I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying that if that did happen, it wouldn't come as a great surprise. But I think Tommy does. But I'll come back to the service, because we've already said it last night. Crossing in the first half
was appalling. All right,
was really poor.
Conscious of time, and because there's a couple of bits of action to discuss. The substitutions were made. Timely, Knight going off, Taylor Gardner-Hickman coming on. As Ian said earlier, playing in that slightly more advanced role. Cornick came on. I mean, the third goal that we scored, it was a breakdown of a Southampton move, and I think it was Williams put Taylor Gardner-Hickman away, and he did show some vision. And I think I listened to, might have been Manning talking, very good post-match interview, I thought, with the Sky reporter, where players are thinking rather than rushing with their crossing. But it was a great move down the right, wasn't it, with McCrory. Take us through the goal as you saw.
I thought Sulemana came on for them and was really poor in possession. Misplaced pass. I thought Gardner-Hickman actually intercepted it and then skipped away to his right.
Yes, he did. You're right.
So, good shift from Gardner-Hickman there, and then the composure to wait for McCrory, because McCrory was very deep. He was in our own half, and he just waited.
And he's a unit, McCrory, isn't he?
But he's an athlete, and that's why I don't think technically he's brilliant. I don't think he's brilliant, but as an athlete, fantastic. And as a battler and a warrior, fantastic. And he waits, and that's what I like about Gardner-Hickman at times. He just
put the pass perfectly for him to run onto.
And it's on the floor. It's not a bobbly pass, which we can be guilty of playing. Like, absolutely does me up the ball. It's called pass appreciation. Make it easy for your teammates to get onto that pass, because McCrory could just take it in his stride. It's a brilliant ball back across, and a really sweeping finish from Cornick. And that's exactly the move you work on at the training ground. That pass down the line and cutting it back, and just the sweeping finish. That was a real training ground. I bet man absolutely loved that goal. Because that's the 3 subs combining, and that's what you work on in training. Those sort of positions and those sort of passes. And that was really, really good to see.
Ian, I know we say Cornick's not all that and hasn't been, but it is a confidence thing. And just like Sam Bell, he'd be pleased that he got that goal. And it was similar, the one that Sam scored, to the one that Naki missed up at Forest in some respects, in the sense it was right on the line. But, it was a class finish. The commentary on Sky, if anybody's not heard it, was pretty good as well, because it was like, there goes Saints' 25-game unbeaten run. But good for him that he knocked it in. And you can't fault his effort, can you? And that's what we want, is hard-running players like that, yeah?
And when you think Sam is basically, when they used to play together years ago, Sam would be the guy in front of Tommy, and Tommy would be the 10 when they played in the junior stuff a lot of times. So, they've both been at the club since they were about 7 or 8. Virtually, I mean, I think Sam was virtually born there with his dad. So there's obviously an affinity with the club. All that stuff goes out the window when somebody comes in and offers you 10 to 12 times as much a week to go and play for them. But I'm always glad to. I mean, my dream is probably the same as Stephen Lansdowne's, and that's to see us in the Premier League with 11 Bristolians playing now, or at least, if they're not Bristolians, homegrown players. I don't think that's ever going to happen, to be honest, but it's a nice pipe dream to have, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So yeah, great to see him. And what they've got to do, and I put something on the text feed earlier on, what they've got to do is improve their end product. So that's goals and assists, crosses, final ball. That's the bit that's missing. The hard work is there. I mean, Sam is a fit lad. He's quite quick. He's not rapid like Maboud is, but he is really quick. And I think it'd be, I just love to see him have that success. Well, I love to see them all have the success because we all want the team to win. And if they play like they did last night, they're going to win a hell of a lot more than they lose.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if they played like they did in the second half performance against every team, Southampton aren't that great defensively, I didn't think, when you put them under pressure. But who knows? The sky's the limit.
I mean, the thing is, Dave, if you can do it against a side that's gone 25 games unbeaten, you can do it again. And that's what Manning should say to him last night. You can do it against anybody if you can do that against Southampton.
Yeah.
So don't lose confidence at any stage. You can do it.
Well, we'll talk about the next 4 games coming up in a moment. I mean, the referee last night, Matt Donoghue, Ian, when we were talking prior to going live, he said he was okay. I thought he showed a little bit of big team bias, although I never really see Southampton as a big team. But he added on 7 minutes. I suppose that was a fair amount. But he gave them a penalty. Cornick foul on Kyle Walker-Peters after an Armstrong cross wasn't clear. Max, that's 6 penalties he's faced in 7 days.
Yeah.
He didn't get anywhere near that one, did he? And a fair decision by the ref.
Obvious penalty. I think that if it's 0-0, I don't think Cornick makes that challenge. I think that's just him switching off a little bit.
Yeah.
And just like, we're 3-0 up, I'm just going to swing my leg at it, try and clear it. He doesn't actually see Kyle Walker-Peters behind him, and he just kicks Kyle Walker-Peters. I mean, Kyle Walker-Peters knows what he's doing. He's a Premier League player playing the Championship. He's by far, for me, their best player, Kyle Walker-Peters. And he just knows what he's doing, gets in front. It's definite penalty.
Yeah.
But I think Southampton yesterday, I don't want to dwell on them because I thought what we did really well.
Yes.
But I thought that Huddersfield game, they looked hungover is the way I described Southampton. The amount of misplaced passes in 15, 20 minutes from Shea Charles, especially, I think that was a difference between that game yesterday and the Leeds game. Leeds game, they really imposed it in the first 20 minutes and we looked timid and scared. Yeah. And there was a presence about Leeds that Southampton didn't have yesterday.
Yes.
And I think you see those misplaced passes and you think, right, we're well in this. It doesn't matter where they are. We win this game. And we built on that. At Leeds, we couldn't build on anything because it was like, bring the ball down and bang, they're there. Yeah. Southampton, they let us come onto them a little bit. They soaked up the pressure and the amount of misplaced passes.
They were, I mean, I said to us against the West Ham and Forest sometimes, unforced errors was not a downfall, but they seemed as though their passing game literally broke down.
Yeah.
Because they looked good, then all of a sudden they lost concentration, and whether that was some sort of fatigue or what.
100%.
And so what you're saying really then is that the fatigue of a 5-3 win,
where you come down
rolled across.
Yeah.
You said they were 2-0 down, 2-2, 2-3, 3-2,
3-2, and then went on to 5-3, and it was like, I think it's so difficult when you play within 3 days of you have that 5-3, you've got the buzz of the 5-3. But that's so taxing mentally and physically. And then you get the recovery day Monday, Tuesday's match prep.
Well, you're traveling. You're traveling.
So you're saying if it'd be Sunday, rest day, Monday's prep, and then you're playing the Tuesday.
So if we'd have been playing it on a Wednesday night, it might have been a different game.
I think if that's on a Saturday, if they get a week's rest, that potentially is a different game where there's not so many unforced errors. And I think the unforced errors didn't lead to anything for us creation-wise, but I think mentally, it let us in the game, and I think it allowed us to build confidence. And then you saw us only get more and more confident. We rode out their tough period, and I think we went in the better of the two teams at the end of the first half. And wow, how much better were we than the second half?
Yeah, no, they were. Ian, 24,600. I tweeted last night at 8:00. Lots of absentees in the South Stand, and then when they were chanting when the Saints go marching in, which was great when we were able to chant when the Saints go 3-0 down. But why are all those empty seats there? Is it a Tuesday night and it's on Sky and season ticket holders think, I'll stay at home and watch this on the telly? And giving Southampton all that end, I think, what did they bring last night? Was it
3,400?
It was over 3,000. Tell me if I'm wrong with this view, Ian, but the person I was sat next to said Section 82 didn't really start singing until we were up in front a little bit. What is to stop us, and I sit in the lower Lansdowne, what is to stop us giving the two end blocks in the dolmen and sectioning off the dolmen concourse and the two end blocks in the Atio, so they have a corner, that becomes the away entrance, because at the moment you've got away fans and home fans coming in on that Lansdowne side. It does give them an advantage. And as for their manager, did you see him prior to the game going up and giving it all of that? You know, and he ended up with egg on his face. But do you think we should change giving the whole of that end to the away support and creating the atmosphere? Because it was all them in the first half.
The problem you've got with your solution is if you're a season ticket holder and you're in those first two blocks of the dolmen and you get told you've got to shift somewhere else, possibly not even in the dolmen stand, you're not going to be best pleased, are you? So that's the problem with moving a block. I mean, I've always said the place I put the away fans is up in the top tier of the Lansdowne on the Atio end. So put them up there, give them, I don't know, 2,000 seats up there, so that you've got all your own fans behind each goal. But it's not. I mean, Section 82 said, "Oh, we want to be behind the goal." But like you said last night, I mean, I watched it on Sky and I felt the whole ground was quiet. I couldn't hear the Southampton fans or ours much, until we scored, and then it got better after that. The reason I think is two things. One, it's live on Sky. Secondly, we've played a lot of football recently, and a lot of people have spent a lot of time in money, and the money is the key thing, travelling. And I know how I did it for over 20 years, every game home and away, pretty much. And I know exactly how tiring. I know how tiring it is now when I come up from Axminster and you go up in back in a night. That's a long old trip. So I can understand it. And when you go to the football, it's not just a question of, oh, well, I've got my season ticket, I don't have to spend anything. You've got to go down. A lot of people have got to pay to park. Then they've got to pay for something to drink. And then if you're taking a couple of kids with you, you've got to pay for stuff for them. So all of a sudden, before you know it, you look round and you've done in 50, 60 quid.
Oh, and the rest.
And so it's I can totally understand it. The fact that it was on Sky probably took I would say caused 1,500 to 2,000 just not to turn up. I mean, you think that, so because you can't look at the number of what the ticket sales, because as you said, quite a few of them weren't there. So I would say it's probably caused at least a couple of thousand not to turn up. And then you've got other people who've got stuff going on. You've got work commitments, and all kind of different stuff
as well. So people may
and it's this 3 games a week thing again, Dave. So it was a very attractive game, and we have beaten Borough, but I still think we did okay to get that money. I think that the gate Saturday will be interesting. I mean, we won 2 on the spin, so let's see if we can fill the place up a bit more. And it's an easier trip, isn't it?
If QPR will bring more than about 1,500, we'll see. Ian, in terms of what you said about the Upper Lansdowne, or even I just don't think the Upper Lansdowne would work.
It's a family stand, and it would be impossible to move. And I think you're talking about the Atio,
and you'd have people throwing stuff down.
Well, there's ways and means around that. You can bring the boarding back a little bit, and you take out the first 2 rows, and you can have them there. But the thing with the Atio is it's not developed, and you can't redevelop it because of the houses behind. So you can't get the home fans in there because it's not done up. I think the Atio actually brings down the stadium quite a bit, unfortunately, because you look at it, you've got 3 sides that are all new, and it's the Atio when it's like okay. But the houses behind don't allow us to redevelop the Atio because it would impact the sunlight on the houses. So you have to keep giving them the Atio until that point, and then also it would be a nightmare segregating the Atio and putting in all that for the home fans. And I think at the minute it's just where they have to be, the Atio. I don't think there's much choice around for the clubs anyway.
Yeah, no,
it's a money maker for the clubs.
I get that. And in terms of redeveloping the Atio, I get your point about right of light to the houses behind. I think you could reconfigure the Atio a little bit without it going right the way back to the wall. and increasing the rake of the stand so that it's much sheerer, because it's quite a shallow end, that end. That's just my view, but we're not, we're a long way from talking about ground stuff. Okay, so it's QPR next 4 games, Tom. QPR Wednesday, Cardiff, Ipswich away. You look at the next 3, 2 against teams towards the bottom that aren't going to play football like some of the teams we've seen of late, a local derby, and a team that are faltering. If we emerge from those 4, maintaining the unbeaten run, do we start to get excited?
If we emerge, it'll be 6 unbeaten for us, and that's quite rare. I think QPR's a good test. I think that will see where we're at. I think if we win QPR and we win it comfortably, then people can go, right, okay, because that'll be 9 points and 9, and then you gather that momentum. I think Cardiff's a massive test.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, Cardiff and Ipswich are 2 massive games.
Cardiff and Ipswich are they're going to be the hard ones, especially Ipswich away. I mean, they need a result. I mean, QPR are no team to laugh at. They've got a foreign manager
as well. Yeah, they're better side than they were, aren't they?
Yeah, they're much better now than under Ainsworth, and I think they know what they're good at now, QPR, and they're quite effective team. But they will sit deep, like Ian said. They are going to give us the ball, and then in our 4-2-3-1, how much creativity is there at times?
And that's where, as Ian said on the text feed to a couple of people that have been chipping in, that's where Scott Twine, even if he plays part of the game, he's the unlocker.
Yeah.
Ian, are you sort of getting? I'm coming to you now. Put your hand. Are you feeling if we beat a lesser side in QPR, then that's 3 on the spin. It repeats what he did just prior to Christmas. We're starting to get to that crucial 50 points. Then that's within striking distance within the next couple of games. After that, too early to have any form of excitement, really, isn't it, about what the balance of the season may hold? Because how many games left now? Is it 14 or 15?
14. Well, look. First of all, stop talking about the next 3, the next 4. Our strategy for the rest of the season is play the next game and win it.
Yeah,
that's it. Don't think about we've got 3 games down the line, 4 games down the line, what sort of form they're in. Forget it. Play the next game, win it. So the total focus now, 100% QPR. Don't worry about anything else till we beat them. Play the next game and win it. So can I just do something? In our running, I looked at our running last night and I thought, right, okay, where are the teams we're playing? And this is where they are league position. And by this stage of the season, you're about where you deserve to be, aren't you? I would say. So they are 24th, 23rd, 22nd, 21st, 20th, 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th. Then you come to the tricky part, which is the teams. There are 5 teams in the top 10, and they are currently 9th, 6th, 5th, 4th, and 1st. Now that's in no particular order, but when people start saying, "Oh, we got to go to Ipswich and we've got Leicester at home," right? We've just beaten Southampton, who've been 24 games unbeaten, right? But we've got Rotherham at home, Huddersfield at home, and these games won't be easy, but they won't be as difficult as playing Leicester, or Leeds. So let's have. What I would say is that is my strategy. The rest of the season, it should be Liam Manning's as well. I'm not telling him how to do his job, never would, but play the next game and win it. 100% focus on that next game, and you'll be surprised. By the time you look around, you think, well, we've focused on the next game and won it. Blimey, we won another 3. And then you'll be up there because there's teams above us. We're 4 points behind the playoffs, but there's teams behind us tonight that are playing tonight. Teams in front of us who are playing tonight.
Yeah,
so that
can increase. Playoff lot. We're going to.
So that's why you need to win 3 and 4 on the trot, 5 on the trot even, and then you'll be thereabouts. And by that time, the other teams would have played their game in hand, which obviously was the game we played at Coventry that we could have done without playing.
I think it starts to get interesting if the next 3 it goes win, draw, win. Yeah, and we were saying a week ago, top 10 finish, would be success. Yeah, if we can consolidate that over the next few weeks.
2 weeks ago, you were on about QPR catching
over our
up.
shoulder. No, I was. Quick one to finish from you, Ian. Cardiff game 3 weeks before. They brought it forward to 12:30. Could have done that weeks ago. It's not on Sky or anything. So,
No, I was very surprised. I was very surprised when I saw that was a 3 o'clock kickoff. For as long, because they normally all come out as that, and then people, the Welsh games are changed, aren't they? Swansea, Cardiff, all the rest of it. So yeah, I think it's very sensible. I thought it would happen. It's a bit of a pain when you live as far away as I do that you've got to get up there that bit earlier. But I quite enjoy it because it gives you the rest of the day off, exactly. if you will.
Exactly. Okay. Well, look, we need to wrap up now. Thanks for everybody who's watched us live. I think a record number, well into 3 figures. So thanks a lot for that. Tom, thanks for your contribution today. Most welcome. And Ian, Mark earlier, who had to leave us. We'll be doing our review of QPR at home on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll be reporting on another victory, and hopefully, that will be achieved with a few more goals. But we're really pleased this morning because at Ashton Gate on Tuesday night, under the lights, it finished City 3, Southampton 1. Thanks, everybody, for listening. All the best to you all. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye now.